We're continuing to monitor guys' social media in the aftermath of the Deshaun Watson announcement. Friend of the program, Adam the Bull, said the Browns are the worst organization in the history of sports. What a slap in the face to every Browns fan by naming Deshaun the starter. And guess what, guys? Bull himself is here to explain. Said tweet, Bull, you've been texting me all morning saying you had to come on the show and you had to explain not just that tweet, but why you are so disgusted by this decision. So, my friend,
yes,
the floor is yours.
Guys, we've known this. I'm not telling you three of you anything, the four of you anything you don't know, but I just need to reiterate that this is the most competent, insane, idiotic organization. And I say that I know there's some fans that you hate the Browns. I do not hate the Browns. I want them to win. Winning is good for business. Winning is good for my podcast. It's good for UCSS. The Browns being a laughing stock of professional sports is not good for anybody in Cleveland. I do not want this to happen. This is the dumbest decision. And obviously, I've made it clear I don't think Shedeur Sanders is very good, and clearly the Browns don't think he's any good if they're letting Deshaun Watson start him. But for this clown to rip the fans, and I don't want, they booed him. How many people really booed that day? Was it that many people booing when he talked? A few people booed him. He's making all this money. Few people booed him. He kills the fans. And this head coach, who sounded like a complete idiot when he talked, whether it was yesterday or the day before. I don't want to hear he's having his hand forced. If he is, okay, whatever. Then Jimmy Haslam, he's a nitwit too. He doesn't know what he's doing. The fact that they name him the starting quarterback when he's looked absolutely terrible. I know there's a lot of stuff we don't see, guys. We don't know what's happening in the classroom. We don't know what's happening in the huddle. I get it. If the other three quarterbacks on this team are worse than this buffoon, then I don't even know what to say about that. How on any planet could a coach decide after the dumbest statement, one of the dumbest things a player has ever said in a press conference? He's so persecuted, Deshaun Watson. What a tough life he's got. For him to say those things, and 48 hours later, these idiots name him the starting quarterback, is the dumbest decision ever. Guys, since Jimmy Haslam bought this team in October of 2012, and we'll just say starting 2013, because that's the first year he really took over, the Browns have the second worst winning percentage in all of professional sports. Only the Jaguars are worse. And I hate to tell you, the Jaguars, who have 2 less wins than the Browns since that time, and the only team with the worst winning percentage, the Jaguars will pass the Browns this year, because we all know the Browns are going to stink this year.
By
the
week
Jaguars
4.
I'm sorry. What's that?
By week 4, they'll pass the Browns.
You're right. By week 4. And I'm sorry, I actually screwed up. It's not the Jaguars, it's the Jets that have the worst winning percentage. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable how bad this organization has been, how incompetent they've been. Jay, you said that your friends were like, is this final straw? No, because you, like every other Browns fan, sports is an addiction. When you love a team, you love a team. You can't just shut off your heart. You can't do that. There's nothing the Browns could do that are going to make people stop rooting for them. And it is what it is. And it stinks because this ownership group has been a disgrace from the beginning. The front offices have been terrible one after the next. It is laughable that they went into this season with these group of quarterbacks, and it remains laughable. And the fact that Deshaun Watson is the starter when he's shown zero signs, in 6 years that he could play at any kind of high level. It's bad for the young talent on this team. It's bad for everybody. The fans hate him. The media, everybody. Nobody wants to cover this guy. Nobody wants to talk to this guy. They had to pretend on the freaking TV broadcast that he wasn't getting booed the whole time, ignoring that because what are they going to say? I mean, the whole thing is a joke. It's so sad. Forget us. I feel bad for all my friends in Cleveland that are diehard Browns fans that come up to me every day and say, when is this going to end? When is this torture going to end? And I don't know. There's no clear answer. I think we're all optimistic about a lot of the spots on this team where there's young talent. I know I am, especially on the offense with all these really good young position players. But I just have no faith that the Browns will ever get it right at quarterback. And it just shows how clueless of an organization this is and how tone deaf they are that they would start this guy. We all thought he was going to start the whole time. But after Saturday, I was like, okay, they're going to be saved from themselves. And even though they don't think Shedeur Sanders is any good, and we don't maybe think he's good, I know some people do, I thought Shedeur Sanders, for whatever it's worth, it's the preseason, I don't want to go crazy, I thought he played a pretty solid game on Saturday. I thought he was at least serviceable there. And there was no reason, absolutely no reason not to start him in week one. I can't imagine how bad he could be behind the scenes that you have decided this guy will be the starter. And I apologize for sidetracking your show if you guys had something you wanted to get into. But I'm just so frustrated for the fans.
No, you've
and
reiterated
so frustrated
our point.
that this organization is so clueless.
Bull,
It's so ridiculous.
Bull, do you believe this was Monken's decision, or did somebody else have sway in the situation?
I'm going to say it's Monken's decision. I obviously don't know for sure. If I'm Todd Monken, there's no way, if this is not my decision, that I'm allowing that to happen. What are they going to do? What are they going to fire Todd Monken if he says, no, I'm not starting Deshaun Watson? They can't fire him. And if they did, they'd look like even bigger idiots than they are. Why would he wear this on himself if it wasn't his decision? I'm not saying there wasn't some push, but I believe it's his decision. Maybe I'm crazy. And if it is his decision, then again, what does it say about Shedeur Sanders and the rest of the quarterbacks? That he thinks they can't play.
That's where we are. Jay brought that up earlier, that this tells you everything you need to know about where they are on all the other quarterbacks in the organization, that Deshaun can play as poorly as he played and then light himself on fire in the news conference after the game and still be named the starter. They feel like he's the best of the bunch. Either their skill set at evaluation is horrible, or there's stuff about Shedeur that we just don't know from not being in and around it every single day.
Right. And Jay, I don't buy, I get it's easy to just want to blame the owner, and everybody knows what I think about the owner. But I just can't see a reason why they would force a head coach to start this quarterback. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I think you're
spent.
right. I think you're right. Jay said that he believes that it's Monken's decision. I think the alarming thing is every new head coach, particularly a first-time head coach, gets a grace period. There's a honeymoon, whatever that may be. Yeah. He gets 0 games now as a honeymoon because the fans are clearly 95-5 against this decision, and I think I'm being kind. It might even be more than that.
Yes.
I haven't spoken to a single person yet that believes that the starter should be Deshaun Watson, yet that's his first major decision. Whatever good graces and little runway as a honeymoon he had, I think he's torched. And if he's still the quarterback, and I think this is a big if, he's clearly not going to finish the season. If he is still the quarterback after the first 2 road games, and he comes in here for week 3 for the home opener, those boos will be directed at Deshaun Watson, but Todd Monken's going to take a lot of collateral damage on that. He's getting shrapnel from 100%. That too, because they're booing the decision as much as they're booing the player, in my view.
I agree, 100%.
He came in with eyes wide open. Todd did. He knew what the quarterback room was.
Yeah.
I think he knew how this was going to go from the moment he took the job. So I don't think anything has happened since July that has surprised him. This has sort of played out how I kind of thought that it would. So yeah, I think it was Todd's decision, and I think he knew what he was getting into when he walked into Bria. He knew this was the only job that he was going to get, and he had to take it, warts and all.
Bull, we talked about over and under on how many quarters Deshaun Watson's going to remain the starting quarterback. What do you got?
I'll say 10. I say he gets knocked. He's out at halftime of the home opener.
I said 18.
Oh yeah, you said 18. Okay. I think Zach said Deshaun would be the starter.
I think when they made the move, the way it works nowadays, people double and triple down. So yeah, I think that they won't make the move during the third game because they got to go to Thursday night against Pittsburgh, and you know how they feel about getting guys ready on short weeks.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh.
I'm saying maybe he gets knocked out of the game at half. Like he just gets knocked out of the game because he gets.
I do think that there's a higher chance that he loses the job to injury than performance.
You do.
I think that they're early on. They're going to hang in there.
Bull, this is a team that's been outscored 65-17 in the first 2 preseason games. The defense is a bigger issue than we thought, especially losing Alex right now with the torn Achilles. There are holes in that defense that we don't appear to have much depth at all. If things go that poorly in Jacksonville and Tampa, the only way I think Todd Monken can salvage this is he announces Shedeur as the starting quarterback after the Tampa game. And that way, when Shedeur comes running onto the field, what he's done, an unintended consequence of all of this, would be to galvanize the entire fan base around Shedeur Sanders, and think of the ovation he would get when he runs onto the field as the starting quarterback for the home opener.
That's true, but I just then the decision looks even stupider. Then what were you doing?
No, I'm not saying bull. I know. I can't even get myself to a spot where I say they did that on purpose.
Right, yo.
But I do think it could be an unintended consequence. Look, it's possible they get boat raced in both of those games, and he gets pulled before the end of the Tampa game.
And Bull, look, we ain't talked about this. There's a dude in Tampa Bay that still ain't recovered, ain't got no money after they left out of Cleveland.
Yep.
And Baker Mayfield gets his one and only opportunity to play head-to-head against Deshaun Watson on his own turf. And
we found someone who wanted Deshaun to be the Browns starting quarterback. Baker Mayfield.
We got to sit here and hear Jay the morning after talk about what Baker did in this nasty work, and I can't even protect him. I tried to help y'all, and you just gave it to him on a platter.
Listen, I didn't bring it up because I don't want it to take over the show as an argument. I think the only decision that was worse than this one was the one they made in the first place. Now, I know you can say that, Baker was toxic here and he had, run his course and they couldn't keep. Well, would you rather have Baker today or would you rather have Deshaun today?
Well,
and I know that sounds like hindsight is 20/20, but I was saying at the time, this guy hasn't played in a year and he's bringing 25 counts of baggage with him. And in the end, that's ultimately why he didn't make it here.
You turned out to be right. You were in the minority at the time, but you were correct. Obviously, at the time, I thought it was a great move. It wasn't. Of course, you'd rather have Baker right now. I'd still rather have somebody else ultimately, but we'll see. I don't actually think Baker was toxic as much as I was fine with them moving on. I think
but I do think there was a perception that he had become toxic.
Absolutely. And let's just point out, the Bucs haven't signed him either. The Bucs could have signed him, and they haven't signed him either.
But I will say,
which is even scarier for what he could do this year.
Well,
what does he love more than anything? A doubting Thomas.
He's had 4 teams now, 4 organizations that had the opportunity to sign him long term.
I will say, in the words of the great Meek Mill, there's levels to this. There's levels of toxicity, and
this is radioactive.
No, this is DEFCON 10.
He was a smelly bag of garbage.
Bro, I was 4,500 guy. I was Deshaun Watson about to get 4,500 guy. Even when I saw the press conference, I said, this is somebody get him together. I called Tyvis. I said, Tyvis, somebody got to
pull the plug.
Get him off that
I
microphone.
Thought someone was going to unplug the mic. I really did.
I said, what is he doing? And when they named him the starter 48 hours, it's the cognitive dissonance that I'm getting. Like, I just heard and saw that, and now
Can I just say one happy thing before I leave you guys?
Yes, we would love to hear that.
The Guardians swept the Rockies this weekend. Let's go. 5 of 6.
There you go.
5 of 6. They hit the ball nicely this weekend, and the Tigers are not going to win the division, Jay.
Well, listen, I'm not counting chickens. We still got 6
Well, but
weeks
it's not
going
to be the
season.
Tigers. But it's not going to be the Tigers.
The Tigers are 7 games out, right?
Yeah.
The Guardians on September 1st, which is a week later than where we are now, we're 12 games out. So
what are the odds that something like that would happen 2 years in a row? I mean, come on.
Almost incalculable, but I'm certainly not ready to punch the Guardians playoff ticket yet. They beat up on a horrible team. And
I'm
the
not
Tigers have seemed to squirm south as the Guardians are starting to inch their way. But right now, there's still only 3.5 games difference between the Tigers and the Guardians. So a lot can happen in a week. And we've got the schedule makers. We've got a great runway to get to the top of the Central. We just have to win games. Bull, we have to chase a break here. Thanks for calling in, because your perspective is always wanted. And you're on the show tomorrow, right?
No.
No, I'm off tomorrow too, but I'm back on Wednesday.
Okay, so Wednesday you'll get the full dose of Adam the Bull and his thoughts.
Get all that work.
Yeah.
Bull's going to deliver his work on Wednesday.
You won't want to miss that show.